Hey there, you, me, and DC fans, and welcome if you're new. I am the stepson of Krypton,
I'm Mantis.
and today we are discussing worst DC movies based on great ideas. Now, this one there's a lot of information to cover here. We're gonna do some of our top ones. Let us know down in the comments if there's other ones that you think should have made the list. This isn't a complete list; this is just some of our tops. So, Mantis, are you ready to get into this?
I'm ready.
Then let's go. All right, guys. So when we say the worst DC movies based on great ideas, I think we all kind of know what we're talking about here is that DC has some great characters and great villains, but they haven't portrayed them in the best lights in their movies. As far as they haven't used the character to their fullest extent, or maybe it was just a bad movie. Mantis, when we say worst movies based on great ideas, what's the first one that comes to your mind?
One of your one of your favorite actors, Ryan Reynolds' Green Lantern, is like literally the first one that comes to my mind. Um, do it be it that it's because we've discussed it several times, or it's the most I'll say not most recent one because there are a few in there that in between that I'm just like, "Ugh." It was just bad. Even in the same character, like one from one movie to the next, like because we'll get into that later in this list too. But I mean that one, and it's really not even due to Ryan Reynolds' acting ability, um, which we were talking about um, Nathan Fillion and Guy Gardner, and maybe not a lot of people know how he acts and who he is and how his character acts. But I feel like Ryan Reynolds wouldn't look as good with the Chili Bowl, but he probably would be a better Guy Gardner than a Hal Jordan, just because of his comedic acting abilities and his smart assness and all of that would probably lend itself more towards that. However, in this movie, it's not his acting ability or a miscasting or anything like that. It's like what you said. It's literally the writing and trying to just the classic blunder that I talk about of the length of movies and trying to fit too much into one movie, trying to shove everything that embodies this character, including his origin, his current issues, the other bad guys, and the lore. And this one's a doozy. I know you know it because you got a whole video explaining the Lantern Corps. Like there's a whole backstory to all of this stuff, and they
And guys, I
tried to fit
promise
it
that
in.
video's coming very soon. I'm still working on it. I'm being very meticulous with it.
Yeah, I mean it's a lot, right? Like it's a lot to try and put into one movie and do it good, right? I think that's where part of it fails, and then we've discussed this too, where it's a uh, doing CG with Green Lantern's ability is just gonna come off as kind of corny, and it does. It comes off as corny. I don't even know if you can do anything about it. We'll see. We'll see how they approach, how James Gunn approaches this in the new Superman because Guy Gardner is in there, Nathan Fillion plays him. We'll see how he approaches that, or even if he tries to show those abilities other than just
Force fields and such, you know.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
a sphere that there's housing everybody and protecting everybody. And we're
right.
also going to get a little glimpse of that when, or at least we should be getting some glimpses of that as we get more looks into the Lanterns HBO Max series. And
Mhm.
with several of the shows or movies on, or I should say, just movies on this on the list that we're going through here. You know, if they don't have another one that's already come out or a redo of it, there's a lot of it's in the works, and I think we've seen from several of those that they seem to be learning from their mistakes or at least looking at the criticisms because everything thus far with what we're seeing out of the new Green Lanterns is looking different than what we saw in that movie. Uh, going to a TV series for one, where you have time to go over all that information instead of trying to cram it into one movie is a huge step in the right direction. However, if we look at other movies, let's go all the way back. I want to go back was one of the earliest ones that I can think of, and thus far it has not gotten another redo in any live action series other than Superman and Lois, and that is Steel. 1997, Steel with Shaquille O'Neal playing John Henry Irons. Now that movie has nothing to do really with the overall overarching lore that we know from the comics and the animated series. It's just kind of, hey, this is the character and this is what he's going to be called. And the fact that Shaquille O'Neal has on his arm, he has the Superman symbol with it says Man of Steel on his arm, and they're like, hey, we need a big, tall black guy to play John Henry
What?
Irons. Who are you going to go to? Shaquille O'Neal, because he's massive. Um, Now we do get to see, for people who have watched Superman and Lois, we do get to see that character redone.
Lois?
Um, where he's got the hammer. We see a lot more of the tech. Uh, he's just not the overall all towering force like we see Shaquille O'Neal be, but it is a complete night and day. Where that movie for 1997, it was looked like it was on a budget of like 150 bucks. Like Shaquille O'Neal was the most expensive thing of that movie. Uh, I still don't think it was bad. It wasn't good, but it's not bad. I do like how they redid John Henry Irons though in Superman and Lois. So that's, I think, enough said on that one. Uh, you have seen Steel, right?
Yeah, probably when I was, I don't know, maybe 15 or 16
And he's
when it
never
came
needed
out.
to see it again, and I don't blame him. It is worth a watch, though, guys. If you can find it, if you have a streaming service that has it, it's not on HBO Max though. Oddly, at
Yeah.
least at time of recording, I
So,
couldn't find
someone must own the rights to it and they're not giving it up. That's probably what it is.
it.
Kind of the next, or one of the other ones, because you had this very nice list of ideas here of movies that sounded good on paper but didn't quite make it to the screen. Um, I know because I'm a Batman fan. I really like Batman and Batman Returns, all Tim Burton stuff, right? Then when it kind of switched over to, is it Schumacher, Joel Schumacher, and who's the other guy that did the next two after that? I forget. There's another guy that helped him with that. Anyway, it doesn't matter, I guess. But the very first one from that was Batman Forever, which is not the one I'm talking about. The Batman Forever and Batman and Robin are kind of in the same vein. However, I didn't really mind Batman Forever too much, and maybe it was because of Jim Carrey. I thought, actually, Jim Carrey and I always want to say Jack Nicholas, but it's Jack Nicholson, isn't it? Jack or not Jack Nicholson. Oh my god, I'm
Tommy
getting
Lee
completely wrong.
Jones.
Tommy Lee Jones.
I was like,
Yes,
wait, we're going back to the first
yes.
Batman. Tommy
Yes.
Lee Jones as Two Face.
Tommy Lee Jones, yeah, plays a great Two Face. I think not. You didn't really play a Harvey Dent in that one. He's already Two Face, so you don't get to see the non crazy side of him being before that. Which I don't know if he could play that. I guess he did okay in like The Fugitive and
U.S. Marshals. Like he plays a real good,
yeah,
serious, take command kind of guy. So you could
yeah.
see him playing that role. It would be interesting to see him do the switch because he plays that role well, but he also plays crazy, like in Under Siege.
Said perimeter to extend downstream from Brookport to Mound City.
Yes, of course, hence the name. Movement, it moves a certain distance, then it stops, you see? A revolution gets its name by always coming back around in your face.
He
He
does.
plays
Yeah,
crazy really, really well. So it'd been great to see him get to play both sides.
yeah, yeah,
I think so, but I can
yeah.
forgive that one. Batman and Robin,
Yeah,
however,
it's not it's there's failures on all accounts in this movie. Let's just start with Batman. I don't really like George Clooney, period. I don't think he's an okay Bruce. Like to me, he plays like Bruce Wayne in Batman and Robin is like uh what's Ocean's 11, like what's his name? Some Danny, like Danny Ocean and Ocean's 11. If you guys have seen those films, the Ocean's 11 movies, he almost acts exactly the same. Like in all his movies, he talks exactly the same, acts exactly the same. Maybe not Oh Brother We're Out There, but in that movie, he kind of plays that same mild mannered, whatever. Even if he's Batman, he just kind of talks like this confident quietness. It doesn't.
$1 million.
2 million.
You don't have it. 3 million.
Yours isn't even masked. It's just your regular Bruce Wayne voice lowered.
It doesn't scream Batman to me. So I didn't really care for him as Batman. And then the main part of this film where it fails is the villains. As much as I love Arnold, and I know you love Arnold, uh, that role as Mister Freeze was not it.
Why
it
was he not Bane?
I I
Like,
I don't know. I honestly don't know. Yeah, he would have been a perfect Bane. But
I get he wasn't at 97. He's not in his Conan days, right? But he's still in really good shape, right? And he could have, upped the workouts a little
yeah,
bit. But he is not Mr. Freeze. Bane was atrocious. And I didn't even. I mean, Uma Thurman as Poison Ivy is okay. Just she's hot, and really the character's kind of over the top, kind of crazy. Um, I'll give you that. That's all right. But the whole, I don't know. I just there wasn't one, and the way the Batmobile looked, the way their suits looked, there wasn't one. The only saving grace in that movie was Alicia Silverstone's ass. Like when you see her in the bat suit, that was it. It's the only part of the movie I liked.
it's like 3 seconds. And I agree.
Let
I
me
think
know
where
down
they
in the
tried to
comments if you disagree.
yeah. I mean, I think one of the parts where they tried to push or tried to meld the comics with the movies was in Mr. Freeze's lair, right? Where it's ice cold in there. His little henchmen are all wearing, parkas and Eskimo suits and shit. And they're all like, there's a scene where they break in, they're like doing the hockey thing. Like, that's the type of shit you would see in the animated series in comic books, right? Like just the henchmen doing dumbass shit. But when you try to put it on film in like a live action setting, and maybe it was the set design that just made it look cheesy as fuck.
It
Like,
really looked like that set was like it cost them $100
yeah,
to make that set, right?
yeah, it really did. The suit being powered by diamonds was just stupid. I don't know. I mean, the whole movie was just all over the place. The writing was bad.
Here's what I don't understand. I get it's because it's Arnold, right? And I know, guys, we're spending a lot of time. We're going to wrap this one up because we got much more we need to get to it. Not a lot of time, but like the whole point was his head is encased in this. I mean, the whole suit's self-contained, right, to keep him cold. They didn't want to block Arnold's face, so his head's just out there, and he just got this air-conditioned suit. Like, no, his whole head was supposed to be contained because he can't be out in the normal. So, like, I'm just all right, fine. You didn't want to block Arnold's head, so you didn't want to put him in a glass dome, you know.
That would look
But
really weird. I will say that. Like, if it was like what they showed, like the animated series, for instance, like what Victor Freeze looks like, and that like this like test tube top thing would have looked really weird on Arnold for sure.
yeah, you wouldn't have been able to do it for Arnold. But
No.
all right, let's move to yet a different and the most recent DC hero. So we're gonna move off of Batman and we're gonna move to the Flash, 2023 Flash with Ezra Miller. Now, barring all of the issues with Ezra Miller and all of his criminal legal issues, whatever you want to say they are, this is another one that obviously everybody was wanting a Flash movie. We knew we were going to get some Batman in there. We're going to bring back some of the old everybody's wanted. Great idea, not so great movie. And probably one of the biggest killers of this movie was the CG. And in the scenes that, and we've done several videos on it, I'll have them popping up here on screen, but like, you know, Mantis is a big proponent of CG that if you notice it, it's bad, right? And I'm not as picky with the CG as he is, right? I'm not going to call things out. It's not going to ruin the movie until you get to this level of CG. Right, this level of CG looks like something because I don't do a lot of VFX. Obviously, we do talking head videos. I don't have to do a lot of effects for our videos, but like I could almost do that in DaVinci Resolve. That level of CG that they put into that for a big budget movie, that was god awful terrible, right? And really the concept of the whole movie just it wasn't great.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of things that stand out. One is the CG you mentioned, and it's bad, but the fact that really pisses me off is that when people called them out on it, they were like, "No, no, 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 it's supposed to look all shitty like that. It's fine." And I'm just like, "Wait, what?" You, everyone said, I'm sure they told them in the screenings as well. Not that they could do anything about it at that point, but it's like this is bad, and your comeback is, "Well, it's supposed to look like that, so that makes it okay." No, it
So
doesn't
when you're
actually.
in the Speed Force or you're accessing the Speed Force, it's supposed to look like a Sims baby, like
Yeah.
just
Yeah, yeah. Like that scene was cool in concept. Like the theme of this whole video, it sounds cool in concept, but when you try to do it and the CG's bad, it just makes it look it's an immediate turn off, at least for me. The second thing is uh Supergirl in there was just kind of a well, whatever. We'll just add her in there just because we need some women power and she'll fill the role. Okay, that was an afterthought. And thirdly, this pull string on nostalgia of bringing in uh I can't think of his name right now, the OG Batman, uh
Michael Keaton.
Michael Keaton. Yes, bringing in Michael Keaton as a appeal to nostalgia is such a irritating thing. Marvel is doing this to an extent with Robert Downey Jr. and a couple of other people in their movies coming up here. It's just
Well, I can
I feel
forgive that one more because it's still in the current MCU. They're bringing them
true,
back, yes, but
true.
this is Spider-Man: No Way Home. We're bringing in the OG Spider-Man to link nostalgia, and it worked for that, right? Because everybody loved
It
that. But
did, it
you don't
did.
want to, you
Yeah,
can't overuse that. And just because
yeah,
you've never done it as DC doesn't mean you get away with it, right? People are going to get real tired of that real fast because like with that movie, you sacrifice story for nostalgia, right? There wasn't a you tried to do Flashpoint, you didn't do it great, and you just were banking on nostalgia. So
yeah, yeah. I mean, again, it's the concept in theory was cool, but this is the problem, and we maybe get into our other video we were going to do on this a little bit, but the concept of Flashpoint and the amount of ramifications that has and the power that he what he did in Flashpoint is kind of one of those. Should we even attempt to mess with this? Because you know how I feel about multiverse shit. I do not like it. I don't like. I don't like bringing people back from the dead or bringing people from other universes just to do it. They kind of they did, like you said, the Spider-Man part was good. They did parts of it okay in Deadpool Wolverine with Blade, and but here I just the Flash didn't it just didn't hit. It missed the mark. And I think another thing which was really funny to me and kind of, I mean, it sucked, but it was kind of funny. Was when when they were showing all like the different things he was in that circular. I think it was like an orb thing he was in, and seeing all these other realities, right?
mhm.
And you see the Nicolas Cage Superman was really kind of funny, kind of funny to me. But I don't know. It's one of those movies that it's a swing and a miss. Plus, another big factor in this they were trying to wind up the DCEU, right? It had already been announced that this was all canceled, right? The DCEU was canceled. Their movies weren't going to get made. No more Wonder Womans, no more Supermans, nothing, right? This was right along that time frame where they were like, well, this has already been filmed. We've got to release it. We've got to make at least some money off of it, right? Um, so I know that had to be factor into rushing it and probably changing a lot of the story arcs with it as well.
So we'll wait and see what happens in the new DCU if they. Just at some point, we're going to get something on another Flash. I know there's a big push to have Grant Gustin come back and play Flash, which I'd be okay with. If we take out the CW is
Devils, come
out of him, I'm okay if we want to bring him back into
Yeah.
it. But another one that again is another one that like they've already rectified the problems of was the original Suicide Squad, right, from 2016, or I guess Suicide Squad.
Suicide Squad, yeah.
Instead of like the Suicide Squad. Okay, we're gonna be Sean Parker here.
I don't mean to be Sean Parker here, but you can drop the.
The Suicide Squad. That one. The only saving grace of that one, really, for me, was Harley Quinn.
What?
Was Margot Robbie in there? I didn't care for the rest of it. I know what they were trying to do, but to be honest, like I've not really liked even in the Arrowverse when they try to bring in Task Force X. I've never really liked how they do it. I'm not and roast me in the comments too. I'm just not a big Suicide Squad fan. Like I like the idea of using these criminals and doing this and the kind of the slash anti-hero. It just to me up until the Suicide Squad, this newest one from James Gunn, it's just never been done well to me, at least in my opinion, on like that. And I'm only comparing these Suicide Squad and in the Arrowverse, right? I'm just using those two. We're not going in comics or animated. I'm just saying in those two live actions, right? But then when the Suicide Squad came out with John Cena and all of them, I like that one. I thought it was complete an opposite change of how they did in comparison to the first one, even though they kept the only good thing out of that which was Margot Robbie.
Yeah, it was a better film all over. The story made sense to a degree. I mean, James Gunn's gonna throw his flair on there with a big giant starfish, right? That takes over people.
Starfish, that's a
Wh-
slang term for butthole, right? You
wh-
think there's any connection?
yeah, I mean, it was definitely better than Suicide Squad, and part of me thinks that Suicide Squad they were banking on Will Smith's star power at the time, which he was kind of on his way out of the limelight at that point anyway.
Hey,
So
you
maybe
keep
not.
his name out your fucking mouth. Sorry,
You
had to
gonna
do that,
slap
guys.
me? Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I'm with you. Like it was just a meh. Like it was a meh movie. It seemed like a cash grab. They didn't really know what they were gonna do. Um, there were some cool effects in it and whatnot. And I think really people had a problem the most when you ask people about that movie is the Joker of Jared Leto's Joker. Um, Part of that was his portrayal. Part of it was the writing of it and the stuff that they didn't include in the theatrical cut of the film. But I don't think even if you included that, it would have saved the movie. I think
No,
it
it wouldn't have.
I'm not saying it would have made it worse, but I don't think it definitely wouldn't have helped it to the point of being a good movie. So yeah, I'm with you.
Well,
It was a failed attempt. They just can't get it right. They can't even get it right in video games. That the even the Suicide Squad video game
Suicide
flopped.
Squad,
Kill the
Kills the
Justice League.
Justice
Yeah,
League. Yeah, that was god
yeah.
awful terrible too. Now let's go to another DC anti-hero, and we're going to go back to 2004 with Halle Berry and Catwoman. Now, I grew up with the Tim Burton Batman, and we all remember Michelle Pfeiffer being Catwoman. Hot. Okay. She was great in that, right? My thing is, and we also remember in the Dark Knight Rises, we got Anne Hathaway, also just smoking fucking hot.
I don't think
to
Anne Hathaway
play.
ages, by the way. I don't think
I'm
she
glad she
ages.
doesn't. Uh,
She doesn't age.
yeah, I'm glad she
Anyway,
doesn't. But she's great, right? And the thing is, uh, she was great as the Catwoman in there, right? Catwoman to me is not a strong enough, whether you want her to be a hero or anti-hero or even a villain, she's not strong enough to hold her own movie, right?
yeah.
She's always supposed to be with Batman in some form or another, right? So to try to bring out a Catwoman movie and, it was in that time frame of like it was after the Batman movies, but not quite into the Dark Knight realm yet. Like, so it was just out there on its own. It was
Yeah.
destined for failure. I think again that was another one that I think you had a good idea, but you didn't have the execution wasn't there because, well, I mean, I still think it was a good idea. I just there's you just didn't have anything. The only thing you had going for you was it was Halle Berry. That was it.
Yeah. And she's not strong enough to hold that movie on her own. It's kind of same thing, same concept with Will Smith. Like as big as a star as she was at the time, um, she's just not strong enough to hold that movie on her own as that character, right? Like you said, Catwoman's just not the primary allure of Catwoman is she's supposed to be sexy. She's supposed to be this sexual tension between her and Batman is what that whole her character is. It's the dichotomy of her being sultuous and like very seductive towards Batman and luring him and kind of getting away with things. And she's a thief, right? She's a thief. Like it's not like she's going around murdering people on purpose. Like if people get in her way and something happens, oh well, right? Like she's not going out of her way to murder people like other and she's not have a big crime syndicate, right? It's literally she's opportunistic thief. It's not to me. It's just not enough to hold on her own. And so in that movie, because she's the singular character focus in that film, she's supposed to then be kind of the anti-hero. It just it just didn't work. It just didn't work.
most most anybody that she's gonna rob, they're gonna think she's some weird like bondage chick and just likes leather and whips and stuff like that. She's not gonna come across as like anybody you're gonna take seriously. So like doomed from the start, but I get it. Catwoman is a great, like I said, the like when you look at even in the Dark Knight Rises, the relationship and the acting between Batman or even Bruce, mostly Batman, and Catwoman and Hathaway in that movie is great. The back and forth is
Mhm.
exactly what you would expect from those characters in that. So,
Yeah.
um, unless Mantis, you can think of anything else. My last one that I was thinking about was Jonah Hex,
It's a very obscure movie that not many people even refer to. Um,
and with good reason. Um, Jonah Hex is not like a again, most people outside that don't know comics probably didn't watch that. Most DC like people who will watch a DC movie but aren't hardcore fans probably don't even know. We've seen him twice that I know of in live action. Guys, let me know if I'm missing another one. I'm saying live action because we've seen him in his own movie, and then he's crossed into the Arrowverse, uh, the Legends. He's been on Legends. Um, we've got to see him in kind of in the Crisis on Infinite Earths. We got to see him in a different series as far as in it coming to a different when they're
Mhm.
trying to go save Oliver with the Lazarus Pit. We got to see him there too, but it's all that's all tied within the same universe. So we've seen him in the Arrowverse and we've seen him in his own movie. I don't know of any other live action times, guys. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a huge Jonah Hex fan, so let me know down in the comments if he's appeared in live action. Um, to borrow a Mantis phrase, his character is always just kind of meh, you know,
Yeah,
it's
meh.
not great. Um, I get where the movie was going, and the idea behind it is again, I think good. I don't know that that's a standalone character movie, right?
It's the same. It's the same thing where it's not a popular enough character to stand on its own. Now, it could have been cool. I mean, the idea behind the character is kind of cool. Like a bounty hunter that kind of dabbles in the Constantine area, right? Like it's occulty and stuff like that. And he is an anti-hero. Like he doesn't go out of his way to kill people, but he doesn't mind going outside the law for shit, right? Like that's the thing. And that's kind of cool. And at the time, it made kind of sense to again to kind of go that character. I think his character is stronger than Catwoman's
I
in
agree
that sense.
because
But
he would be the main guy, right? He's
right,
going out and he's hunting these people. I think there's more to explore in an individual movie than like with Catwoman, but I still don't think he and that's why part of it's people don't know who he is. Part of it
mhm,
is I just don't know that he's a strong enough character to be on his own.
yeah, yeah. And
You could have had
the only other
Catwoman and Jonah Hex. They're going after each other.
I mean, yeah, why not? Yeah, I mean, they
Solve
could have
both your
done something
problems.
like that. Yeah, because it's again, Catwoman is like a supporting character to me. It doesn't, it's not strong. The character is not strong enough on her own to have a standalone movie. Um, and the kind of the only other one because you asked if there was another one that I could think of. There's only one other one that I could think of, and it's why I mentioned it, kind of in the same vein of Batman and Robin, where there was good movies, but then there's just bad one in the series. Like Wonder Woman, great flick. Wonder Woman 84, all over the place, continuity issues. The CGI was bad. Like,
So the only reason why I didn't put that on the list because I had thought about it, right, was because I'm saying like the worst DC movies based on great ideas. Where again, while I don't think that Catwoman and Jonah Hex
that's
are
true.
strong enough characters to support their own movie, I still think it was a, and I say great. We use that term loosely. It was still a good idea, and I think if you maybe have tweaked some things, you could have done it differently, and maybe you could have had other characters. It would have still been just their movie focus, but you would have brought in supporting characters. Whereas Wonder Woman, the character's great and everything else is great. Is I just thought that was a shitty idea for a movie. Like
Yeah, yeah.
even Pedro Pascal's, and he basically gets to where he can just make wishes come true, all this stuff. The whole thing, and the Steve Trevor coming back as the whole thing was just dumb. Like in
Yeah.
comparison to how great the first one was, like that was not a great idea. Like not even
No,
close. Like
no,
I'll
no.
give you Jonah Hex and Catwoman, like especially because they both came out because one, Catwoman's 2004, Jonah Hex was 2010. We were kind of in the limbo of DC, like they're we were done with the ones the old Batman series. We hadn't really got it too far into the Dark Knight and everything else like that. And then with Jonah Hex was kind of in that limbo between the Dark Knight trilogy and Man of Steel. So it was
Mhm.
like I'll give you that they were good ideas, maybe even great if you want to say, but that Wonder Woman 84 was a shit idea, shit execution, shit writing, shit directing, shit producing. The only good thing about that is Gal Gadot, and that's it. And I still didn't like the things she had to do in the movie.
Yeah,
She's great as Wonder Woman and she's hot, but everything was shit.
yeah, yeah. I guess it doesn't necessarily fit the premise of our list of being a great idea. It's been just a bad idea in a bad movie. So
But guys, let us know down in the comments. Is there one? Again, we didn't do like the top main ones or anything. We were just doing
right.
some ones that had come up. So let us know down in the comments, and for everybody else in the community here, know, is there a DC movie that you thought was a great idea but shitty execution that made the movie bad? Let us know down in the comments what is yours, or if you can't think of one, what on our list do you agree with or don't agree with, or what would you rank as number one? I know we're asking, giving you a lot of homework, but uh,
Yeah,
definitely curious on this one as far as everybody else's opinions. So, all right,
I couldn't
guys.
agree more. Yeah, let us know in the comments whether we're off base or not.
We could be. It's all opinion. All right. All right, guys. If you have made it with us this far, we definitely appreciate it. Consider giving this video a like. He is going to show you where. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on any of our other videos, as well as you can check our backlog of the other 190 videos we have on YouTube thus far to this point. and then clicking the little bell notification so you get alerted when we release new videos, because we are getting so close. We are only a few days away from April. That starts the summer of Superman. Going to be kicking off some point within the next month. We will get a re-release, a reprint of Action Comics #1, June 1938, first appearance of Superman. I am super excited for that, as well as maybe some point we'll get a full-length trailer of the Superman movie.
Well, so I did see something about there could be a release in the Minecraft movie, a preview in the Minecraft movie. So we may get some old OG hand cam videos of the trailer, another trailer from that. So we'll see.
We're gonna get a trailer for the movie at the beginning of the movie. That's way we're on track to.
Yeah.
But if you have your bell notification and you're getting your alerts, you will know when we release that. Because as soon as it comes down, we will do a video on it, guys. So
For sure.
Stay tuned for that. Mantis, do you have anything else before we go and wrap? I know this one's a little bit longer, but there's a lot to discuss.
Yeah, no, I'm good.
All right, guys, that is going to do it for us on this episode of You, Me, and DC. Until next time, we will see you then.
Later.